Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to AMC Spoilers, the show where we take a movie and discuss it at length as if you have seen the movie with us. We are making the assumption that if you're watching this video, you have seen the movie that we're reviewing right now, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. And as the title suggests, AMC Spoilers, there will be spoilers in this review. So if you're somebody who doesn't care about spoilers and you haven't seen the movie, that's fine. But we do encourage you to just add this video to your favorites list and then come back and watch it after you've seen Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, or watch at your own peril. It's all good with us. Joining me for this review of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, I'm going to have everybody introduce themselves, starting to my left.
Thanks for having me. I can't wait to talk about this movie.
And your name is?
Oh, Dennis. I thought it was already assumed that everyone knew. You know?
Yeah, everyone knows who you are, and
exactly.
the D is silent. I'm Alicia Malone.
Ennis.
What's up? Ooh, 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 ooh. It's my ape.
Yes. Oh, hi. Miri the Jedi.
John Schnepp.
And of course, I'm John Campbell. Thanks for joining us, guys. So we are here to talk about Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Of course, the sequel to kind of the relaunch, reimagining of the series from Rise of the Planet of the Apes 2 years ago. We are now sans James Franco. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to start by talking about our positives about the film. We're going to talk about our negatives, our overall impressions, and then give it a score out of 10. So the first person I knew who saw this was Alicia. So Alicia, let's kick this whole thing off with you for now.
Yep.
Talk about the positives for you about Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
So many positives for me. Me and Mary sat together and watched this film, and afterwards we both just went, wow.
What just happened?
What just happened? I think that this is a blockbuster with brains. It is smart and intelligent and surprisingly emotional. I say that Rise of the Planet of the Apes was a prison movie, and this is a war film. The performance capture in this is the best I have ever seen. There were times when I thought there were actual apes. You know, you couldn't even tell. And Andy Serkis just brings such emotion to Caesar. What surprised me was that Caesar is the main character. And
Yeah, he really
you know
is.
so much about the apes. You get to know them as people almost, and I love that there's no good side and no bad side. You understand the humans, you understand the apes, and there's that tension throughout the film of an impending war. And when it breaks out, the action scenes I thought were exciting, and the direction is so great that by the time you get to the big moment that I know Christian loves, the apes on horses, you actually believe it, and you believe that they can talk, and that's because they're set up so well as characters. I think like the first, the original Planet of the Apes was kind of a metaphor for civil rights. Rise of the Planet of the Apes was the 1% uprising, and this feels like the Arab Spring Revolution to me. I thought the pacing was great. I love the 3D, everything. I loved Jason Clarke as well, Aussie actor. I thought he did a really good job.
Now, just a quick question for you. I know the day or two after that you saw it for the first time, you told me it was your now new favorite film of the year.
Yes.
Does that still stand?
It still stands. Yeah,
All right.
It still stands. I'm sure once Interstellar comes, then I'll change my mind. But so far, it's my favorite film of the year. Definitely my favorite film of the summer.
All right. So, Schnepp, let's go over to you. You just saw it last night.
I did.
So this is a fresh review for you.
Fresher, I guess.
Fresher. So talk about your positive of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
I was really impressed. You know, I loved Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and then with the trailers, I think the trailers were really great because they don't give too much away. They kind of like in the trailers that you'll see since the spoilers, it makes it kind of set up like Gary Oldman's the big bad guy.
Exactly.
And it's a lot grayer than that. The apes are, have their own issues, good and bad, and so do the humans. So I really like you were saying, the playing field is kind of leveled as far as like, am I with the humans or am I with the apes? Caesar does a great job. Andy Serkis, once again, I'll echo what you said. He's a great actor in this. I think the performance capture that we keep seeing every year just gets better and better. And, I really felt like I was watching apes hang out and talk with sign language and stuff. You kind of forget they're like, there's like 3,000 people who worked on this, to create all of these insane graphics. None of it's real. So you get lost in the film, which is the greatest compliment, is that the effects are invisible. So I really enjoyed it. I think it's a great film. It's in my top 10 for sure.
Dennis, what about you?
Oh, I absolutely loved it. I saw it again I saw it on Tuesday, and then I watched it again last night with Schnepp, and I think it's great. It's kind of, I don't know. It's the anti-Transformers
Yeah.
4 because it does all the things that Transformers 4 does wrong. It does it right. It's emotional. The spectacle's not there just to be a spectacle. It's part of the story. There's good storytelling. There's good acting. There's all this stuff. You know, you guys all said about Caesar and Andy Serkis. The performance was fantastic. I love the relationship between him and Malcolm, played by Jason Clarke. I think one of the best parts about the whole movie is that yeah, there's no good guys or bad guys, and also that they can find common ground between the two different species, and I think that kind of drives the overall story. And the visual effects, amazing. Especially with Maurice, I can't tell the difference between the. Like, if I saw that in real life, I was like, okay, is that the real one or is that the visual effect version?
So amazing.
And the effects have gotten even better in terms of like the face and the hands. They look more real and less CG, and so. Yeah, I absolutely loved it.
Miri, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I have to just pause and say that you guys are all so smart, and it's such a pleasure to be sitting with you fine people, listening to you talk about movies.
Stop
'cause
it.
It's just fun. Yay, I'm lucky. But I love this movie so much, and there are so many things I love about it. You guys have touched on a lot of them. One of the things I think is so great is that it has all these really deep themes of war and gun violence and family and loyalty and morality, but it doesn't ever beat you over the head with it to the point where you're like, okay, I get it. It's very subtle in that way for being a big action movie with, like you said, you know, climactic scenes where there's a lot of action. I love that about the film, and I love Caesar. Hail Caesar. I think he's one of the most compelling characters, human or not. It doesn't really matter. And he's a father, and he's loyal to his fellow apes. I wanted to say men, you know, because it's almost like he transcends any sort of species. But I love the fact that what unites the apes and the humans is the same thing that tears them apart. They have the same foibles, the same flaws as a species, and you see that so clearly, that there's pride and there's greed and there's you know, power lust and there's anger, and everybody kind of has there are individuals that are good and individuals that are bad, but it doesn't have anything to do with what they are. It has to do with who they are, and I thought that was really well done. And I saw it with Alicia and with Gray Drake, and we were audibly just reacting to everything. I was so invested in the characters, and I want to also just mention the world, because I kept thinking of Life After People, you know, that show where they show you the world in 20 years after people are gone from the planet, and it's so eerie and also beautiful to see all of these landmarks of San Francisco grown over with weeds, and they did such a good job of creating that world. It was dirty, and I believed it, and I was totally invested. I could go on, but I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, so I saw it last night for the first time. And a couple of things that really stood out to me. One of the most powerful things that I haven't heard other people talk about, but to me was the commentary on, you know what, as a species, we have only been living with electricity for, I don't know, 100 years?
Yeah.
But, you know, but today, I mean, your internet goes out for 5 minutes and you're calling 911.
Yeah.
5 minutes, 30 seconds.
It's like, what's going on? I mean, without power, it's almost impossible for us to even imagine life. And in this movie, I really like the fact that they set this up, that humanity is questioning, how do we even continue to exist unless we get power going, when as a species, we've done it for a long time, but we've completely forgot how. The real strength of this movie, there's two. One is the narrative and the scene structure. I mean, the scenarios that they create in almost every single scene are all compelling. And that's, you know, we're talking about a big summer blockbuster, and it's really refreshing that the first thing you want to talk about is narrative and scene structure.
Yeah.
Not the first thing you don't want to talk about is the visual effects, as great as they are, and I'll get to those in a second. But it's really remarkable. I'm thinking of that one scene where Koba comes back after discovering the humans have all those guns, and he shows up to the dam looking for Caesar, comes across the human kid, and it's like he's so angry, and then Maurice steps in and stands up. It's like, oh yeah, you want to mess?
Yeah.
Like, just the way the situations it creates are incredible. The second one that is on par with the narrative and scene structure for me is the character of Caesar himself. Caesar is such a brilliantly layered character because he's also brilliantly flawed. He's short-tempered. He makes the wrong decisions sometimes. He's naive at times. And I love all those things because all those things just really highlight the courage, the vision that he has, like all this kind of stuff. It makes him just one of the best characters we've seen in film all year. Forget that he's a monkey. Forget that he's CGI.
Yeah.
Forget the Andy Serkis thing. He's just a great, magnificent, multi-dimensional character that is frail and strong at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just incredible. And of course, like everybody else is mentioning, you have to talk about the visual effects.
It's beautiful.
I don't think, Shep and I were just talking about this before. This kicks the crap out of Avatar. I mean, Avatar doesn't hold a candle to what is done in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. After about 10 minutes of watching the movie, you just forgot. You just thought you were watching, hey, cool, they found this acting monkey. And Tom the Lions.
Found 1,000 acting monkeys, which is insane.
And they can all sign. They can all kind of talk as well.
And how great was that? I love the way they did that, about how the apes actually communicate verbally and sign language.
Yeah.
They jump back and forth between.
Yeah.
I thought that was brilliant. They figured out the writing and all that kind of stuff. It's just,
Koba was great. Toby Kebbell.
Yeah, he was amazing.
I think everyone will know his name now.
yeah.
He's going to be
Yeah.
a great villain.
And I love the fact, to your point, that they show a progression in communication and language from the first film to now.
Yeah.
You know, that in the first film, none of the apes knew anything. They were in cages. Like you said, this was a prison film. And here they are, liberated, and they're learning how to communicate. Like you said, they're using sign language. They're using words, ape, strong, together,
Yeah.
you know, and you're like, yes, I'm with you. I love it.
And
Anyway.
Koba, you totally understand
wait,
why
Miri.
he...
Apes together.
Right.
strong.
Sorry.
Remember, it's Yoda style.
With Koba,
You're
you
right.
totally understand why he has that hatred for humans. Because when you saw the first one, you saw how tortured he was. And he was actually a really nice character, hanging around with Caesar until he sees the humans, and then you can see that history
The
come back.
memories of him being tortured, where he's like, human, showing all the
Yeah.
scars.
That was a
It's
great
like,
scene.
Human
Yeah, you could-
work. Human
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, you could
heartbreaking.
see why that he is so angry and wants revenge, and that revenge goes to even betraying his best
Yeah.
friend.
And they set it up where he saves Caesar in the very beginning,
Mhm.
and then later on,
Yeah.
especially there's a parallel to the first Rise where, with Caesar he lets him go and fall. In the first one, at the very end, he lets Koba let that one business executive guy in the helicopter
Yeah.
fall off the bridge.
Sorry, sucker.
Yeah.
Now, it's. I'm glad you brought up Koba, because this is a nice segue into the negatives, and I have a feeling I'm going to have more than you guys.
Yeah.
Koba to me is one of the negatives, but in a grander scale. Other than Caesar, the characters in this film are terrible. These are all one-dimensional, flat. What you instantly see on the price tag is what you get characters. Caesar, and that really stood out to me because Caesar is such a good, rich character. But after that, every other character is a stereotype. You had the jerk guy the guy from
Fringe,
yeah,
yeah.
who shoots Ash
Yeah.
in that first encounter there. From there on out, what you see is what you get. He's just a self-absorbed idiot jerk, and he's going to play every stereotype out. Of course, he brought along a gun anyway. Of course, he did that because that's what do you expect him. Even Jason Clarke's character, I loved his performance, but the character is so right from the beginning, pure, noble, everything guy, completely out of every movie's playbook that I've seen a million times. And Koba, see, when they did that scene, I loved that scene about him doing the human work, because I thought, okay, you knew where he's going. You knew it, but this is adding such a rich layer to it. But as it turns out, he's just a mustache-twirling villain like every other villain we had. You see it in his face when he's shooting. The hatred for the humans I don't believe, led him to betray Caesar. I think it gave him his excuse to betray Caesar. Because you see that thing when he's on the tree in the dark with the gun, he's loving that he finally gets to kill Caesar. And then the minute he has power, he's killing other apes and he's enslaving humanity. To me, it was a waste of what could have been maybe one of the best scenes of the year with that whole human work. But then to me, that went out the window as soon as he went straight mustache-twirling villain. But then there's a couple of minor little quibble things. But still, in the beginning, Caesar and Maurice are having this conversation. 10 years since everything went down. 2 years we haven't seen a human. Don't know if there's any left. Oh, humans? Oh, just stand on my roof and you see the freaking human city. By standing on my roof, you can see the human city. That can't be more than 3 miles away. But we haven't seen a human in 2 years. Okay, so that seemed ridiculous. And then near the end, You know, one of the things I really felt like is like, holy crap, how on earth he's going to do this? I thought Caesar's son was going to step up and do something because Caesar's going to fight and confront Koba, and he can't even climb the ladder. Caesar, remember, he's like, ugh, and then finally he has to be picked up by the other apes when he's finally shown up to the tower, but then he's a ninja fighting ape again. Like, just like that. Can't climb the ladder, but now I can turn it on. And that, I just wish they had dealt with that before he got to the tower, because that really stuck in my jaw. But even a character like Gary Oldman, to me, it was exactly what you thought you were going to get. Now, he didn't end up being the main villain as we thought he was in the trailer, but the person you saw in the trailer, start to finish, that's the character you're getting. And so that was frustrating for me, considering how brilliant the narrative was, how great Caesar was, how wonderful the visual effects, how great the action. Those things really kind of stood out to me as negatives. But anyway, that's just me. Alicia, you saw a film.
Yeah.
It's your favorite film of the year. So
Yes.
can you think of anything that stood out to you that might be?
Not too much, because, I mean, you know I don't like remakes, I don't like sequels, I don't
Yeah.
usually like the big blockbusters, but this just showed me that you can do it. You can do it properly if you take care with the story. It's just great storytelling. Negatives, I mean, I'm always talking about women in film, and I feel like there maybe could have been just a few more female characters in terms of the humans, but at least Kerry Russell's character wasn't useless. She's a nurse and she brought a lot to it. And then I just thought something's funny. Obviously, the performance capture is brilliant, and having humans play apes brings a sense of humanity. But it's also kind of funny that the film is sort of a warning against anthropomorphization, however you say it, which is assigning human behavior onto animals, but then they're played by humans.
Right.
That's just a funny thing. But only minor issues for me, maybe a few slow spots, but overall, just thought it was a good time.
Mary, what about you?
Yeah, this is mostly a win. I agree. My only glaring thing is not only that there weren't a lot of female characters, but Kerry Russell's character was very capable, but she was very underwritten. And maybe that's to your point, that she could have been a little bit more fleshed out, even in the scenes that she had. You know, we talk about the Bechdel test, and is the woman in the movie, you know, there for a reason other than, you know, to service all the other characters. And I felt like there wasn't really a lot of her own story. It would have been nice to see that, because she's such a capable actress, and she had great chemistry with Jason Clarke. I also felt like they have this family dynamic, you know, her and Jason Clarke and his boy, who's played by Cody Smith McPhee, who's so wonderful.
Yeah.
I felt like maybe that family that was sort of hobbled together from all their loss was touched on. Maybe it would have given the film a little bit more of what you were looking for if they had had a little bit more exposition about that family. But I don't know. I feel like it was pretty. I didn't personally need it. I don't know. I feel like this was pretty close to perfect. I do think there were some moments where the dialogue was a little on the nose, maybe a tiny bit cheesy, but I forgave it all because I was so invested in the world. I was so invested in these characters emotionally, and Caesar as a father who holds his baby. I mean, I wept. I'm not ashamed to say, like, I wept. I was like, this is beautiful. And so I don't know. I feel like all those little things I forgive because it's such an empowering and a powerful experience.
Dennis?
Yeah, just a bunch of minor stuff. I mean, I agree and disagree with you on your negative points. I do think that the guy who played the a-hole character, that was a bit over the top, and he didn't really have dimensions. And I think Kerry Russell's character could have been fleshed out more. Same with the son as well. But I feel like because this is really more about Caesar and about the apes, and that's kind of how, because I think the studio execs originally wanted it to be all about the humans, and Matt Reeves said, no, I would do it all about the apes. And I think because that's what the movie's about, I can forgive some of that stuff. And then with Gary Oldman, like, I actually, even though he's not a big part of it, I liked his character because he wasn't the mustache twirling villain. If you think about his character, he was just doing what he thought was right. And a lot of the stuff that were supposedly like bad stuff that he did was a lot of misinformation or just information that just wasn't given to his character. And so I thought he played it well. So I don't know. Yeah, just those kind of minor little things. But yeah, I loved it as well. I mean, just the scene between what's his name, Caesar's son River, and when Caesar's hurt in James Franco's old house, and like just the conversation he has about how he thought apes were better than humans. Like that whole scene just was like so emotional.
Schnepp?
Yeah, like what you said about misinformation. I mean, that's the core of the storyline is the apes have misinformation about the humans have misinformation about the apes. Just like in reality, when different countries go to war with each other, there's the people trying to like, no, you don't get it, you don't understand, let me just go and talk to them. All right, you've got 2 days, and all these kinds of things. Like, that's reality.
It happens all the time.
Like some of the things that you mentioned, didn't bother me. I didn't feel it was one-dimensional because I've known jerks like that. The guy who would bring the gun. Would be like, are you serious, you idiot? There are people like that. So to me, it's like, yeah, it was definitely like a little bit.
Yeah, but this is where you're supposed to be giving your negatives, not trying to counter my negatives.
No. I'm just saying I have negatives. I just wanted to I didn't want to gloss over some of those things because I do think that it's like you said, it's all opinion based. Like to me, those things didn't really affect me. I liked the characters, and for most of it. One big negative for me is Koba shoots Caesar and he falls and no one goes to check him out. Where is he?
Yeah.
Where'd he go? How far did he fall? Wouldn't you think they'd go and get the body? Wouldn't there be a burial? Wouldn't there be any of these things that you've shown? You've built a society. The wife has got the weird little skull chip things. They're wearing stuff. They've made things. So there's some kind of a society there that's not enough. We don't see enough of it. It didn't bother me. I have very few negatives about it. But that's one of the things where they kind of like, oh, he got shot, and then humans did it. Oh, everything's on fire, That was just a really quick. You get it, though. You're like, we're at the 1 hour mark. How do we get the apes on horses? You had to, you got to make that happen.
I love that they waited, though, because everybody was talking about it. Everybody wanted the apes on horses, but they kind of hold back
They were
bit.
on the horses almost right at the beginning of the film.
No, but it wasn't
when they
like
first
right
show up
away.
when they show up to the city gate for the
Yes.
first
Yes.
time.
Oh, I love
Apes
that scene.
Don't want war. That's
I
a great
love that
scene.
scene.
But
So-
the apes with double machine
Yeah,
guns.
that's
Fire.
the coolest stuff on the planet.
And it is amazing how good of a shot Koba is
Yeah.
after holding a gun for the first time of his life.
Yeah, well, that's pure evil. That's what pure evil does for you. That's the mustache twirling
Evil gives you
power.
gun power.
Yeah.
On
Accuracy,
your
accuracy.
point though, Schnepp, like I did find it funny that how far he fell. Like when they found Caesar, he was like far away from
Yeah.
where
2 miles.
And it looked
They
like-
have been running. The humans have been running all night. Hey, look, here's Caesar. What?
Yeah, and
No,
so the one other negative is him recovering so quickly from a pretty harsh gun wound where he's like, I'm out, son. I can barely walk, and then now I'm fully jumping around fighting.
But she does come out and say he's very strong.
Right, she said he's
So she
regenerating
does
quickly
say
like
that.
Wolverine. He had kind of a
He has
some kinda-
adamantium.
so.
One other thing I just want to point out that I love is when Koba comes across these 2 guys testing all the ammunition.
Oh, what a great scene.
And he does this whole I'm a dumb circus monkey, and he plays on
Yeah.
that stereotype
Gives
that
me chills.
it's wonderful because I'm very into animal rights, and for years in Hollywood there were chimps that were used and they were actually lobotomized and used as entertainment chimps, the ones that smile, and it's actually very dark and very sad, the story of those chimps. And I love the fact, I don't know if he did it on purpose, but there's this little nod to the fact that monkeys have actually been really mistreated in Hollywood, and he does this whole thing where he plays, oh yeah, look at me, I'm the monkey you see in commercials, and I'm like,
Dance
ooh,
monkey
I'm gonna
dance.
smile for you, and,
Right.
and then it's like, I'm also gonna take your gun and kill you. Sorry.
I wish that wasn't in the trailer, that moment.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad it was, just because it really got me ramped up for the movie.
Got you excited to see it.
Yeah, they showed you an evil monkey.
Yeah.
Hey, you shoot
Yeah,
me out
but-
into space and let me die.
But
This
I was
is
so
revenge,
happy. I was like, yeah, you see, you shouldn't judge.
It was such a great moment in the trailer because I remember. I've liked all the trailers, but when that happened in the second trailer, when that came up in the second trailer, like, holy crap! And that's what I think. That one shot in the trailer is what really elevated my anticipation for the film.
Cool.
So so we've talked about some positives and negatives. Let's start transition up and work our way down. Final score out of 10. What do you give and why? Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
For me, it's like a 9.5. It's really one of the best films of the year, and I'd say it's one of the best films of the year. Not a tentpole film, not an action adventure film. This is a really good film. The storyline is really good. It has a lot of metaphors, which is great. This is a second metaphor, amazing metaphor film that's come out this year. So actually third. There's Snowpiercer.
Yeah.
There's a lot of amazing science fiction. I wouldn't even say dystopian, but just really good films that obviously spend a lot of money, but also are trying to give you something back, you know, to think about and talk about. So for me, great film. Really paid off for me. All the ads and all the excitement. What are they going to do? I loved Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I was always joking with this one guy who was all into all the other ape movies. I was like, yeah, did you see that trailer for Rise of the Planet of the Apes? What a horrible trailer. I thought it was going to be a horrible film. And then I saw it and I almost cried. I remember I was like, "This is an incredible movie."
You cried. It's okay. You can tell us.
I almost cried. And, yeah, I really loved it. And it's cool that they were able to work James Franco, into this because he was such an important part of Caesar and the very first story, the first movie. So this is a great middle film. I can't wait to see where they go with it. I'm hoping that they're going to keep making them. Right? They've said they're going to make a third film. But
Matt Reeves has already signed on to do the third.
So if it's a big hit, I guess it should be a big hit. Everyone's going to see it. It was pretty crowded when we were in the audience yesterday, and it seems like good word of mouth. So 9.5 for me. I really, really enjoyed it.
All right, Mary, what about you?
Yeah, it's a solid. I'm going to give it a solid 9. I think this is not only, like you were saying, a great film, but I think it's a great sequel. And I've been saying this, that I feel like insofar as sequels are concerned, this might go down in history as one of the great sequels. Because for me, I loved Rise too, but I actually felt more emotionally invested in the characters in this film, maybe because they are evolving and their story was ironically very human, the story of the apes. So I just was very invested from minute one. I loved the look of the film. I loved the visual effects we've been talking about. Everything we've been saying. I mean, there's nothing more that needs to be said other than that it's a solid 9. Go see it. It's great. See it twice. See it 3 times.
Alicia?
Yeah, I can't wait to see it again. I'm giving it 9.5 as well, like Schnepp. I think this is a great film for everyone. If you just want to go and see some action and have some fun, this is perfect. If you want a movie that will make you think a bit, this is also perfect for that. It's got spectacle and it's got the smarts. It's got that great visual effects, like we were saying. Also some beautiful cinematography. Some of those shots and some cool shots as well, like the one on the tank that goes all the way around.
That was very innovative.
Awesome. It had emotional heart to it, brilliant characters. I loved it. Yep, go see it. Definitely. Go see it in 3D even, and I don't usually like 3D.
Dennis?
I'm also going to give it a 9.5. I love the movie. It has so much emotion. Like the first Rise, you get emotionally connected with Caesar, but this one, Caesar even more, but even just the family of the apes. And I just think like it's what big budget blockbuster movies should be, and that's why I always say it's like, okay, it's cool, like you can go watch a movie and turn off your brain and have fun, but if you can do both at the same time, then that's like, okay, like that. I'm gonna see this multiple times. I've already seen it twice. I'll probably say it 3 or 4 times, and performances are great, visual effects are great, and I think most people will enjoy it a lot.
I like the movie very much. I give it a positive review, sure, but not as enthusiastic. I'm going to give it a 7.5. I think the amazing spectacle that the movie is, with heart. Like I said before, the narrative and the scene structure is all so well done. The scenarios that they create for us, the metaphors are obvious yet subtle at the same time. The character of Caesar might be the best character we've seen all year. Great action, visual effects. I mean, it's a terrific summer blockbuster film. For me, it's tempered a bit, once again, by the fact that I thought all the other characters other than Caesar had little to no depth or dimensions to them. I didn't like some of the logic inconsistencies that I think could have been easily fixed. Like, we haven't seen humans for 2 years. Oh wait, you mean that city right there? The amazing quick Wolverine healing factor of Caesar and things like that. I mean, some of those things just hindered it for me from really, really like super loving it. But this is a really good film, a worthy sequel. It's going to be another bullet in the ammunition for people who like to argue against those who say sequels are never good. Well, yeah. This is really good. So for me, I give it a very solid 7.5. So we got a 9.5, a 9, 9.5, 9.5, and a 7.5. Let us know in the comment section what you guys think of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Don't forget, go on out and see it again if you've already seen it. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for your theater, showtime, and your movie ticket information. I want to thank those who are sitting on this panel with me today. First of all, Mr. Dennis Zen. Dennis, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter @ThinkHero and on my new Instagram account, dennis.tzeng.
And of course, Alicia Malone. Alicia, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram @Alicia Malone.
Right beside her, Miss Miri Jetikin. Miri, where are you?
I'm at Miri the Jedi, and I am everywhere.
And Mr. John Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you?
You can find me at John Schnepp, Twitter, Instagram, and the Facebooks.
And you can find me, my name's John Campia. You can find me at the various social media networks, just at John Campia. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. Don't forget to check out our next installment of AMC Spoilers and join us every day, Monday through Friday, for AMC Mail Talk. AMC Movie Talk. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. My name's John Campia for AMC Movie News, and until then, bye-bye.
Hey everyone, if you like this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC movie talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.